as potentially being reflecting excessive force?
I denied your previous question because as I was sliding down your leg is when you jumped off the mat, providing an indication of any excessive force. So there was no striking force applied at that time.
You said before that you alleged that I jumped off the mat after you had cleared my leg and we were finished with that. Is that correct?
No.
What did you say?
If I recall correctly, I'm going to paraphrase here because I'm not going to ask her to go all the way back. I slid up, and as I was coming down the rest of your leg is when you jumped off the mat. I had not finished clearing your leg.
Could you read the sentence in your statement? In the last paragraph, it's not underlined, sorry, starting with upon, and just read that one sentence. It starts with upon clearing.
Clarification, last paragraph is on the second page. Are you on the first or second page?
I'm on the first page.
I'm sorry.
Document is TSA 40 and 25.
Okay,
I'm with you. Upon clearing the left inner thigh, I went up to where his leg meets his torso, body resistance as required by SOP, and he jumped backwards off the mat. Do you want me to keep reading?
No, thank you. It sounds from what you wrote here, is that it reads up to where his leg meets his torso, body meets resistance as required by SOP, and he jumped backwards off the mat. Not that there was an additional clearing of the leg afterwards, as you just stated a minute ago. Do you agree that the two are different?
I would revise this written statement to say that I had also been proceeding down your leg.
So you believe that this written statement is inaccurate?
I do not. I believe it to be accurate to the point that it's still written. I would simply revise that portion at least to state that I'd gone up and then down your leg.
Did you previously file this statement as being accurate?
Probably on whatever date you see written. On that day, I believed it to be truthful, and I was willing to swear to it under oath.
So you did swear to the statement under oath?
On that day in question.
And
is that what it says? Referring to page 29? 29, I verify under oath.
For the record, that's page 29 of Exhibit 1.
Thank you, counsel. So now you're saying that what you submitted under oath was inaccurate. Is that correct?
It was to the best of my abilities.
Isn't the difference that the change you're looking to make a significant change? In your opinion?
I don't see it as significant, no.
You'd earlier stated that you felt you were free to leave after you had stepped around a corner, and so and as a result, you did not believe that you were under citizen's arrest. Is that correct?
I did not say I was free to leave.
So you believe that you were not free to leave, that you were still confined, or not? Your freedom was still impeded when you stepped around the corner.
My freedom was impeded to Dulles Airport in general so that I could file my paperwork for being overtime.
Did you believe that your freedom was impeded from having been allegedly placed under citizen's arrest and a crime being investigated by NYPD?
I did not.
Did you believe that NYPD was going to still come and speak to you after you went around the corner?
I did not know what they would be doing.
Did they come and speak to you after you went around the corner?
I don't recall them coming to me after the corner.
Can I direct you to the page TSA 404026? And this, the line that this starts to, well, let's just start with "he explained," and just read to the end of the paragraph, please.
He explained his side and continued to berate my actions. One of the TSMs requested I leave the area and wait elsewhere to separate the two of us, but the passenger said he wanted to keep me right there so that no sideline conversations could take place, end quotations. The TSM had me step away around a nearby corner. Emois arrived around this time and started to question the passenger on his side of the story. They then came over to me and I explained that I had been completing a check of the inner thigh as required in the SOP. The police and TSMs went into the manager's office and reviewed video of the incident. Approximately 3 minutes later, they came back out and one TSM assured me I had done everything per SOP and had nothing to worry about. I was dismissed and clocked out at approximately 12:30 hours.
How many TSMs, thank you, how many TSMs responded to this incident?
I recall 3, I believe.
Do you remember their names?
I do not, however, we previously read a statement that I believe listed a couple of them.
Do you remember more than 3 TSMs?
I do not.
So it would be one of the 3 TSMs, maximum number of 3, that would have responded, that would have been the person you're referring to here saying that the TSM assured me I had done everything per SOP. Is that correct?
One of those TSMs is the one that approached me, yes.
Would that have been a male or a female?
I described him earlier.
It was a male.
It was a male.
That's what I wanted, was questions, male or female. And so it was a male, and what color hair did he have?
Dark.
Black, brown?
Dark.
Dark hair.
That's all I recall.
Okay. You said earlier that you did not speak with the TSA after you went around the corner.
Go on.
What's the question, counsel?
That's miscalculation of what you said. He said he did not speak to TSA. That's not what he testified to.
Did I say TSA? I meant Emois. I'm sorry. That was a slip of the tongue. Glad I asked. I meant Emois. I retract and apologize. You said earlier that you did not speak with Emois after you went around the corner. Was that correct?
I said I did not recall if I had.
Okay.
And after reading this statement, I would redact that and say that according to this, they had come around the corner to get my point of view as well.
So what you're saying is your statement here, you're saying the statement here is correct and what you just said was wrong, or the other way around?
The statement is what refreshed my memory to then recall that Emois had arrived and they spoke to you first and then to me.
So would that have meant that you were not free to go because Emois was still speaking to you?
I would believe that if I had police in front of me, I would not feel free to go.
So would that imply that if you are not free to go, isn't that one of the definitions or one of the constraints that you gave earlier as one of the key factors to being under arrest?
It's also a key factor for being detained, which is not under arrest.
Did you feel that you were detained?
At that moment, I felt detained by the police.
What gave you the indication that you were detained?
The fact that they were questioning me from my point of view.
You listed here that one TSM, next to last line, the one TSM assured me I had done everything per SOP. But you weren't sure which TSM. Do you know why we defined it was a he, why he said that you had done everything per SOP?
Form.
Why he, well,
I'm looking for you to explain your statement here, Mr.
Certainly.
Polson. It says, one TSM assured me I'd done everything per SOP.
okay.
How would that person know?
Transportation security managers often come from the bottom of the ranks, meaning they've worked their way up, meaning from my position as a TSO to an LTSO, STSO, and then it follows into being a manager. So this manager, I recall, had been working his way up. He didn't jump into his position from outside of the agency in any capacity. So he did know SOP as per his job requirements, if I recall. And then he was also in the office with the police, as stated previously. The police and TSMs went into the manager's office and reviewed the video of the incident. So, to my knowledge, he had seen the video, and he came out and said that according to what he had seen, I had done everything correctly per the SOP.
But was he a witness to the incident?
Form.
Was he, just to clarify, what part of form?
You're asking me to speculate again.
No, actually, this is not speculating. Previously, with the number of people that were listed as being present, and in Mr. Polson's statement, there were no other witnesses present. Were the TSMs present as witnesses?
To my knowledge, they were not present at the time of our pat down.
Okay.
If I recall correctly, according to the statement, they came out of their office after the police had been called on the radio.
Yes, I don't think that there was a proper form objection there, counsel.
Now that you clarify that isn't, you didn't say present, you said witness. They could have witnessed it on
Oh,
camera.
okay.
They do have cameras within their office, sir. To my knowledge.
Are those cameras ever recorded?
I would assume that's the same cameras that they would have seen previously with the police. But that's only an assumption because I did not follow them in there.
But if those are recorded, then those would be more potential recordings, correct?
I don't know how many cameras there are.
Didn't ask you how many cameras, Mr. Polson. If there were more recordings, those recordings could also have been retained, correct?
I don't know.
Can camera recordings be retained?
Yes.
If there were additional camera recordings, could they have been retained?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Let's try this one more time. Can camera recordings be retained?
Yes.
Do you have any reason to believe that the camera recordings in the manager's TSM's offices could not have been retained?
I have no reason to believe so.
Do you believe that the video cameras recordings in the TSM's offices on this date and time could have been retained if someone had wanted to retain them?
Form.
I don't know what capacities they have within their office, sir. I don't know if they have the ability of the recording or if it's just a visual monitor to see.
Could we read back my question, please?
Do you believe that the video camera recordings in the TSM office at this date and time could have been retained if someone wanted to retain them?
The question was about video recordings, if such video recordings existed, could be retained. If such video recordings existed, do you believe that they could have been retained?
I don't know if they had the capability within their office to do so is my answer.
Did you attempt to ask anyone if they had any recordings that could be retained?
At which point, sir?
At any point at this incident or after?
At this incident, no.
At this incident or after?
I believe there was a request for video made. I don't know who made that request.
Did you as a defendant ever make any request to anyone to retain video evidence or any other evidence in this case?
I don't recall.
Do you have any documentation showing that you made any request to retain evidence?
I do not have any documentation in front of me of that.
Who operated those cameras that were the security cameras at the TSA checkpoint?
To my knowledge, TSA operates those security cameras along with MWA.
Okay, this is two people, but you can only have so many masters. Which organization is ultimately responsible for operating the security cameras?
I don't have any knowledge of the camera program at Dulles Airport.
Did you ask anyone whom you would ask to have any videos retained?
I don't recall.
You don't recall if you asked anyone?
As you said on that day, I didn't, but in the future there was a request made. Whether I did it or not, I don't recall.
If you had made a request, whom would you have made it to?
I wouldn't have made it. I would have gone through my legal counsel.
And did you ask your legal counsel to retain any videos?
Instruct the witness not to answer.
I'm not asking what the counsel advised him, but as far as it's not listed in your protection log, privilege log.
Well, to answer that question would divulge privileged information if it occurred. But the rules of attorney-client privilege is not just about the advice that a client, an attorney is given. It is also the conversation between the client and the attorney so that the attorney can advise. So to the extent you're asking him any question in regards to his answers or questions to his attorneys, he is not to answer the question.
Do you, and based on that statement from your counsel, are you refusing to answer that question?
I can't answer that question.
Are you refusing to answer the question based on the advice of your attorney?
Uh,
I can't answer that question.
Let me make sure. Let me clarify. He's thinking you're asking him to answer the question that I told him not to.
No.
He's asking,
Please,
are you
yes,
taking the
rephrase.
advice right now that I'm giving you to not answer his previous question?
I am taking my counsel's advice to not speak.
Thank you, counsel.
Sorry.
I say, are you asserting privilege? And so you are asserting privilege.
I am.
Thank you. That's what I said.
Sorry, that was a big go-around.
Yeah, that was getting painful. Thank you very much for stopping that. Okay.
You guys are eating those like candy.
Okay.
Sorry, it's getting very warm in here. Is there AC or anything we can kick on?
I think there's a thermostat back here.
It's behind the TSA counsel's head. Again, doesn't need to be 73. Thank you. So have we established, Mr. Polson, that a request was made for you to be placed under citizen's arrest, or do you think that that was still prospective?
I still believe I was not under any citizen's arrest.
Okay. Is the AC too loud for the video?
Nope.
Okay, good.
Can I just stay here with that blowing, or do I need to put
You're
it on?
still fine. I can still
Okay.
hear you. We're all good.
Okay. Do you still hold, Mr. Polson, that there were no requests in front of you to retain any videos that you are aware of?
I do not recall any requests.
Okay. Next into evidence, I'd like to submit a statement from Scott Johnson, which TSA already submitted as TSA Docs 4017 and TSA's 4018. If we can submit those, please. And then I've got copies here. Now, I will note for the record that this is a very colorful sheet. There are brackets on most every paragraph in a variety of colors. And that's only on page TSA 4017. Mr. Polson, I'd like you to read this statement. Just the first page is fine, but to note that it is a statement signed by Scott Johnson, dated 14 March 2016. If you could read the first full page, please.
This is the first time I'm seeing this statement. I haven't seen it previously. At approximately 1100 on Thursday, March 10, 2016, I received a text message on a passenger at lanes 50/51 who claims the TSA agent sexually assaulted him. With Metropolitan Washington Airport Authority Police en route, When I arrived, I noticed. Excuse me. When I arrived, I noticed an individual standing by himself with 3 MWA police officers around him, in addition to the TSA supervisor William Wetzel. I stood back from any conversation, but noticed the passenger was upset and was demanding the names of everyone around him, asking for calling cards from the police officers and from the TSA supervisor. The TSA supervisor said he did not have a card, but would offer the passenger his name. After the supervisor gave the passenger his name, the passenger then said that he wanted the supervisor's first name as well. At this point, I approached the passenger and said that the supervisor does not need to give his first name. The passenger said, "And who are you?" in quotations, and I told him my name and position. He said, quotations, "What are you, like the boss here?" End quotations. I said I am the Federal Security Director responsible for the security at the checkpoint, and that in order for him to fly, he would need to complete the screening process. He then asked me for a card, which I did not have, but I did write my name and position on the back of a card for him. He asked me for my phone number, and I said that if he wishes to file a complaint, he can go to tsa.gov to get the process. The passenger kept demanding that the officer who performed the pat-down be arrested for sexual assault. I told the passenger that since he opted out of the AIT, we must follow the standard operating procedures to complete the screening process. NYPD refused to arrest the TSA officer, so the passenger said words to the effect, quotations, "Fine, if you will not arrest him, I invoke my right to make a citizen's arrest. I want you to arrest that TSA officer," end quotations. NYPD said no. At some point, the passenger said he did not want to talk to me anymore, but I did tell him one more time that if he wanted to fly, he would have to complete screening. After what seemed like 30-plus minutes of talking, the passenger finally agreed to another pat-down by STSO Wetzel. NYPD and I watched the pat-down. The passenger gathers his belongings, recomposed, and departed the screening area. A TSOC incident report was filed. Thursday, 03/10/2016, IAD, Washington Dulles International. First bullet. TSA pre-check passenger opted out of AIT screening at a standard lane. TSO began pat-down process. Passenger alleged TSO forcibly hit him in a sensitive area as TSO began to pat down upper part of inner thigh. Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority responded. Passenger attempted to claim citizen's arrest against TSO conducting pat-down. FSD and senior staff responded to the checkpoint, investigated passenger's allegations. Passenger complied with screening process, screening completed, negative results. CCTV was reviewed by TSA with conclusive results. TSO conducted procedures as required. That is the end of the first page.
You can stop there. That's the end of page 1. By the way, it's to go back for 1 minute to the page labeled TSA 4 zeros and 2 6, the second page of your earlier statement, Mr. Polson. You state at the end of that the first sentence on the second page, the last words there are, "and continued to berate my actions." What precisely do you mean by that?
I don't recall the conversations we had after it. I couldn't make quotations on anything you said.
Was there anything in body language that would indicate any unruliness?
I recall you being angry. I remember a lot of hand gestures, I think. I don't recall the whole situation at that point.
If I were part Italian, would the hand gestures make any sense?
Form.
Withdrawn. What would be defining as berating?
Berating would be putting down, in my opinion.
Do you feel that you were put down?
At the time, I believe I felt put down.
In what way did you feel put down?
In my opinion, at that time, I had performed my screening appropriately, and then to have a passenger engage me in an angry manner, as I recall, that was berating to me.
Do you believe if a passenger, in your opinion, had been, as we defined striking before, had been struck using excessive force in the groin or testicles, in your opinion, would a passenger likely be mad?
In my opinion, a passenger would be mad if he was assaulted.
Anybody would be mad if they were assaulted, right?
I would agree.
Earlier, Mr. Polson, you had said that you did not believe you were placed under citizen's arrest. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And what were the reasons that you felt that you were not placed under citizen's arrest again?
I was not under your immediate custody or confinement.
Were there any other reasons?
That's the main one that sticks out to me, sir.
Do you acknowledge that the claim of placing you under citizen's arrest was made by me?
I don't recall you making a citizen's arrest statement. All I have before me are statements made by other people that say such, and it is therefore in their opinion.
Do you believe that all the other statements that I've shown you of people claiming that I made a citizen's arrest on you are wrong and that you are right?
I can't speculate on anyone else's
And what would you like to have?
That's a mischaracterization of every statement. No one said that. None of these statements indicated that you placed him under citizen's arrest.
So to answer counsel on the second bullet point at the bottom of the page, that is submitted to TSA 4017. Could you read the second clause in there, starting with passenger attempted? Second bullet point.
You'd like me to read it?
Yes, please.
Second bullet point at the end, TSA 17. Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority responded. Passenger attempted to claim citizen's arrest against TSO conducting pat-down.
Mr. Polson, do you believe that that indicates that I attempted to claim a citizen's arrest against you?
According to this statement, it says you attempted to claim citizen's arrest.
Do you believe that statement is wrong?
I didn't write this statement, sir.
In your opinion, you claim that no statement was made trying to put you under citizen's arrest, correct?
I do not recall being under any citizen's arrest or arrest of any form.
Please read back my question.
In your opinion, you claim that no statement was made trying to put you under citizen arrest, correct?
Read back the witness's statement, please.
Answer?
His answer. Sorry.
I don't recall there being any citizen arrest.
I don't believe your answer was responsive. Could you, can we read back my question one more time, please, and we could have a second chance at
In
it.
your opinion, you claim that no statement was made trying to put you under citizen arrest, correct?
Correct.
Can you read one more time just the second half of that sentence you just read, starting with passenger attempted?
Passenger attempted to claim citizen's arrest against TSO conducting pat-down.
Do you wish to revise your previous answer based upon what you just read?
I do not.